fusion, okay? A fusion. Here's my second problem. Well, let's get to it when they mention it, okay?
Two, the cost will be different. There'll be 3 tiers based on a champion's strength, and changing to them will require either.
Mad Hatter, that's my guy. I think he's a value, by the way, at tier 2. I like Granite as well. Stock for the arena can be, and outside the arena, frankly, can be really good as well. So I like some value here in tier 2. I'll make a whole nother video at some point talking about, once we see the entire, champion list and whatnot, talking about who I think are the best values. And again, you can't go after dupes. If you went for the fusion, if you have the champions, you can't go after them, okay? So it's only if you don't have them on your account.
Either 1, 2, or 3 fusion tokens. An ongoing fusion event will be required for this feature to be available. You also won't be able to change to a champion that you've already obtained during their original fusion, fragment summon, or via shards. And once you've changed once, that's it. You're committed. You can't change the champion again, so choose wisely.
Here's the problem. Here's the other problem. Fragment summons, right? When you complete a fragment summon, you don't get a fusion token. I don't love that. I don't love that at all, right? Now, I can understand not being able to swap out a fragment summon. I totally get that. Let me be clear. When there's a fragment summon event, you can't swap it out and choose any fragment champion, because how would you, I can kind of understand how the fragments work. It's a little bit different, although they could do it, I guess, if they wanted to. But
what do y'all think of the way they went about the new fusions? Actually, they're making some pretty good points here. It does suck because a lot of times fusions won't be directly in the champion pool, whereas previous fusions are, at least not for a while when they're new. And so you could be going for a fusion, and then what happens if you pull the fusion that you picked, that you traded out for, from a shard? Do you just lose the fusion entirely? Do you have to pick a different fusion, or does it just default back to the original fusion that's going on during that time? That's a question that I think player needs to answer.
You complete a fragment summon, you should, in my opinion, it's still close to a fusion. You should be able to get still a fusion token, right? But no, you only earn your fusion token by doing a classic, fusion, right? Where you have the epics and or a hybrid fusion, but you don't get them from the fragment summons. To me, that's another big downside, right? Okay, one more thing.
Here's some good news, though. If you change the champion out but didn't complete the fusion for whatever reason, any fusion tokens you spent will be refunded. And
I do like that, right? I like the fact that if you don't complete the fusion, you don't lose your tokens. So at the end of the day, guys, I'm mixed on this whole thing.
Is this guy AFK?
I'm mixed. Hopefully I've answered some of your questions as well. I think we did a pretty thorough and quick, though, guide at the same time in terms of how this will work.
Is that Flaunt Cat Herder, Flaunt CH? I hope not. He's liable to, with my bow. That may just be, I don't know, he's got a cat for a picture, too. That might be Braun. I don't know what his actual raid name is. Let's see what his account name is.
Sad news.
Now that's his free to play. What's his actual account name? And if it is he AFK? You don't see Tadas in the arena very often. I'm not sure. I guess he knew that Gizmak would counter knives. Kind of wish we would have left Marius in, knowing that he was going to ban Gizmak. Can't find my water bottle. I hope he's AFK because this is a pretty crazy team. Well, we beat speed considerably. I do love that Geralt's provoke can bust through block debuffs, like even weak affinity. What you gonna do, bro? I don't know if that's the real account or not. That might be like a fan or whatever of him. I'm not certain. I don't know what his actual account is, but this is definitely a high-end account. Why did we go into Galaxy there? That was a bad move. Either way, I think we're good. Galaxy is probably going to get a rebuff off on everybody, but I think we'll be okay. I mean, we already have increased attack. I'm not going to lose a turn of my unkillable for that. Bust a move. Now, it is possible that he whops me here. It's going to depend on how hard he hits. But then again, he didn't go for his nuke. He went for his support. See if we can put on taunt, and we'll see what happens. And I hate to have to attack him. I really want Geralt to be doing the attacking. Wish we had a heal reduction to put on it. All right, we're good. We got it. We got it. All righty. If that was you, bro, sorry. I honestly thought you would have a better Lava Arena account than that. He is one of the smarter people in the game, or at least from my experience. His like game mechanic guides and shows are just incredibly like in depth. So I have a lot of respect for him. And I've got a few kitty cats too, so I am of the cat level breed myself. I wish I knew if that was him or not, because the account that he has on his videos, they're lately say FP, like free to play. So I'm pretty certain. I mean, it's not that account, but I don't know if that was him or not, or if it was like a fan with his name. We'll throw out our bias first, even though she's a little bit slower than Lazarius. Maybe they'll think she's my speed lead. Oh man, he just Siegfried though. Well, that's all right. We got two different counters. Daryl can counter him as long as you can make it to her second form, and Gizmak as long as he gets a burn off. All right, y'all excited for the new fusion coming up? I think it's going to be a beast. Definitely better than the first fusion that we had for the Argonaut faction. No, they still banned Malazarius. damn, she used to never get banned, and then here for like the last week, she's been getting banned constantly. Like, are people catching on to the value of her? Load up. So obviously with Suzanne, he's going first. I'm a little bit worried. Osgren here and Nell. Yeah, Siegfried's about to whop me. No, 2.3 mil. Yeah, there was nothing I could do against that. $18K. Man, we're getting up with the big boys now. Black 1 to 3 between 3 accounts is a little confusing. A +1 to Arius, oh no.
Well, have I got a video for you? Hello, everyone. Broad Catter here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends. Unfortunately, we are not talking stake, but we will be talking about rare champions, which I think is going to be amazing.
Got Targe and Mariska and Gallop here, and we're going to have to ban Marius.
Like this, these gacha style games, they don't always have the best champions on the rares below the uncommons and the commons, and even the epics sometimes really struggle. Raid has a lot of really, really good champions, and not every one of them is a legendary. But you know what is legendary? My link down below. Get yourself a free legendary Elenarl, get yourself Ugo, Tagore, and Mausoleum Mage, get yourself Ezio from the login. On top of that, with the first 72 hours, use code KittyCut, get yourself the Cheshire Cat, an amazing champion as well. On top of all that stuff, it is a great time to start Raid. It's a wonderful game. So we're going to here talk about some of these rares. I'm going to tell you about some of my favorite rares. I thought about just doing all of my favorite rares, but this video got to be very, very long. So this is going to be my non-void rares, as well as some tips about building rares early on in your account as well. So let's get in some rare air and talk about building rares in Raid Shadow Legends. First of all, there are a lot of really, really good rares in this game. I'm not going to cover all of them. I'm going to cover some of my favorites. But honestly, if you are a very early game player, any rare that has a revive is going to be useful for you to
How was Sheeper? She must have had polymorph and R1 to submission, hit it back.
It's going to be more valuable early on because those AoE attacking rares with just a little bit of gear can get through some of the very early stages of faction wars by themselves. Obviously, your starter champions are also going to be better. The 4 starter champions are better than most rares in the game at doing damage. They're worth investing in, so I'm not going to talk about them. Yes, that even means Gallic, who is certainly the worst starter champion, but he's certainly not one of the worst rares. He's actually a really good damage-dealing rare champion, and he's certainly worth building to 4 stars or 5 stars early on if you are struggling for damage in a faction.
You know you can't hit through block damage. What are you doing, man?
Damage, much like the other starters, Elenarl, Aethel, and Kale. So, with that said, AoE attacks, if the rare has an AoE attack of some kind, could be kind of useful to build. Again, throw some gear on them. And if the rare has a revive or even a heal of some kind, they could be very useful for you. Because honestly, some of the
Bring her stone skin out for our bias here, and it'll taunt everybody into attacking her. Now, Predator may still have his A2.
It doesn't hurt to have him for a little little bit of gear on them, maybe even build them to 3 stars or 4 stars. You don't have to invest a lot into them, and because you can always peel the gear off them and then use them later for
All
food,
right.
you're not
We got it.
hurting
We
yourself
got it.
to invest in a rare for 3-star or 4-star very early
Cost
on.
him 3 of
So
his
first
points
up, I'm
there.
going to talk about War Maiden, mostly because I just kind of went through the factions and she's one of the first ones I came across. War Maiden in 2026 is not the must-build champion that she used to be in 2022-2023. That said, I still think she is worth investing in and building up to 5 stars for a while because she is still one of the best decreased defense champions in the Barbarians, and it's kind of hard to get this 3-turn on a 100% chance to land decreased defense for
Only a
lot of
3-star
champions.
Maris.
With a link like
You don't
mine,
see too many of those. Normally they're 6-star and +1.
as an epic, that's going to be better for most general content, and that's fine.
I still think we're going to ban him. You never can underestimate the Marius.
So somebody you can guaranteed, or at least not necessarily guaranteed, but you can farm for specifically, get very early on, and she's...
By the way, man, I had an amazing viewer comment that we're going to have to go over,
She is useful both in some of
and I have to respond to. But it was a very interesting comment. He pretty much told the story of some of the new Argonaut champions coming into the game, and it's got me curious if the lore is going to hold up or not.
If you want to farm up those books, if you're struggling for rare books early on, eventually later on, rare books will become less of an issue, so you can eventually book her up, make her 5 stars. You can
I figured that he would have went for the stun.
Or you can build her for some damage. She does some okay damage as well. And this decreased defense is going to be very, very critical for you getting your faction wars done early on, because decreased defense is going to add more damage than you might realize just because you are cutting through 60% of that damage reduction that these PvE champions have with their high defenses. Certainly a usable...
We'll skip out on the crit damage buff since it was turned down, and we'll just go into the kaboom.
Soban Boyer is famous for having an AoE A1, which means
Ain't nothing you can do about that.
And just A1 with her, and she has a chance to stun people. She also
They got a week left in the season. How many more tiers do we have?
Her to a 75% chance to critical hit for all 3 of her abilities, which means that she...
Man, we still got 4 more tiers to go to get the mythical.
As a damage dealer. On top of that,
We're gonna have to use some extra tokens or whatever. We're gonna have to buy some extra tokens.
Well, so you have a Cold Heart...
The clock will run out before we can do probably more than maybe 10 tonight, but
she can be usable for other bosses.
for the rest of the week, we're gonna have to double up on our tokens, that's for sure.
Book her up eventually to get this to 100%. And if you don't book it, it's fine. She will be usable for a while. She also has a chance of ignoring defense on this as well, so she can absolutely smack on this particular hit as well if you build her for some damage. And if you don't, then you just A1 with her and you're good to go. It's very, very solid again for a lot of end game content.
Got smoke in my eye.
For most progression players, you're probably going to build her for a little bit of damage early on, and then she's going to fall off until the end game, and then you're going to stash her until you need her for some of the secret rooms to be able to finish some of the quests for things like Ramontu and or Marius in Doom Tower, for example, or in Curse City, where she can...
Need us soul in our... Oh no.
Templar is kind of a fun champion who is actually very, very tanky. He's a defense-based champion. He's got a decent amount of HP as well. He's a little slow, but he's campaign farmable, so he's easy to get. And once you get a copy of him, I recommend holding on to 1 or 2 of them, just because it is nice to both have one ready for the fusion, because I believe he's part of either the Relic Keeper or the Rosin fusion, but also he's actually got a pretty solid kit because he's got this block damage on a 3-turn cooldown. It's only
we're gonna have to deal with
he does have some provoke on this.
He'll be block damage.
Got decreased speed on this A1.
I think we'll be okay though, as long as we can get Cometus down.
You don't have to invest in him for books, other than it's certainly nice to be able to get this down, but you don't have to. You can build him to be able to solo things like bombs.
Put out them block debuffs instead of the turn meter fill, that way we can block the bombs if he goes into it. If he's smart though, he'll use the A2 on the first form and strip it and block my active skills. We'll see.
Early on, because this block damage is a critical way to get past those bombs that Bommel drops. He also, with built in that same similar build with a lot of regeneration gear and immortal gear, can actually do an okay job of soloing the Scarab boss. It will take a while, but he can do it. That said, the big problem with building a Templar early on is you are going to need to 6-star him, because in order for him to not take absolutely forever and hit the turn limit, he is going to need War Master.
Oh, Dismac can get some burns out on this turn.
But this block damage ability gives him a lot of really good utility. Plus, with that War Master, he gets additional damage because he will regularly counterattack if somebody puts a debuff on him. And that means that he is going to get,
If he ever gets a turn,
attacks and add some extra damage versus some of these particular nasty bosses. And that is why he can solo them.
Go ahead, you'll get Siegfried into his
Horn is a fun
support form.
for a rare. He is very, very
I feel like Siegfried's support form is better than any other support form in the game of any champion, and he's also one of the best nukers in the game.
Where you don't want those weak hits to happen. He can be built as a tank for that weakness ability so that he is never going to weak hit.
I mean, how many other champions get a full team revive with a block damage for 2 turns, and then his next turn can be a full cleanse and like half of everyone's health on the heal?
Actually pretty solid as well. He's got
And his A1 is an AoE that hits decently hard. Like, Siegfried's support form is pretty slept on. I guess that's because you can't control it.
100% chance. So he can be used very, very early on in Hydra if you need a provoker on that 3-turn cooldown, if you can build him pretty quickly. He puts increased defense on himself as well.
Man, they're not letting Mauer Bias take a turn.
Available on a 3-turn cooldown. He's got some interesting utility there as well. Doesn't even need a lot of books. You're probably going to get some books landing in here. But if you end up using 7 rare books on a Gnarlhorn, it's certainly still not the worst case to be using. So Gnarlhorn is flexible both from a control standpoint, but also from a staying alive standpoint, and also for my ability to use this skill in order to actually make sure that he is not being hampered by the Phantom Shogun. So Gnarlhorn has a lot of good utility. So he's a champion you will use in very niche circumstances, but he is still a good enough champion to hold on to and build early.
It's a bit of a rough fight here.
Early game champion, but still a champion that's
I don't know who's going to win.
well. Diabolist gives you, well, she gives you a single turn sleep, not the best thing in the world, but it's there. You do have an AoE with increased speed. Increased speed, this is the big version. 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown is actually pretty nice for a rare, honestly. And then she has a turn meter fill and decreased turn meter of all enemies by 15%. 4-turn
Man, we got to get our accuracy up on Loki.
Early on, she can be usable in Arena. This is a Deacon-esque level ability, and later on in the game, she can certainly be useful for faction wars for a while, because again, 4-turn cooldown, turn meter control, not bad, very usable, and a 3-turn cooldown, increased speed, very, very good. And with this AoE attack, you could certainly throw her in a stun set if you want her as a campaign farmable champion with a base speed of 110 for a rare. She can be a very usable champion in early game Arena, as well as some early game Demon Spawn champion stuff. Plus, with that AoE, she can be usable as a bit of a damage dealer with that AoE to get you through some early floors of Demon Spawn. Another good Demon Spawn champion, more of a damage dealer with some interesting debuffs as well. You've got Marquess. Marquess's A2 has a chance to get an extra hit with Weaken. If she lands
The tables have turned. He's in the lead now.
This extra hit actually has some pretty nasty multipliers on it, so she can do an absolute butt ton of damage with this ability, and it's got a 50% chance of landing the Weaken. Plus, Weaken is a good way to do some extra damage, even if it is the 15% Weaken ability. Still a very solid 3-turn cooldown without being booked damage dealing ability. The A1 does some decent damage, puts decreased attack even if it is the weak version. Not a great ability, but not bad. And you have a chance of freezing on this one. It's a 100% chance to freeze, in fact. So you can get a single turn champion control when a 4-turn cooldown on a champion that can do some decent damage as well. She is a defense-based damage dealer, so the damage also makes her tanky as well. And overall, a solid damage dealing champion. She has actually been a damage dealer at 5 stars on multiple completions of this dungeon for me on multiple accounts. So she is a very, very good champion to have early on. And honestly, for a late game, she does good enough damage and brings enough good utility that even a...
If we can make it back around to Gizmac, I think we'll be okay.
On your account.
We got burns out on everybody, so they'll get that damage increase.
Usable for a while as a rare, and because he's super tanky,
Ah, man.
HP,
I thought that would do more damage.
tank for you to keep the rest of your team alive.
Some tanky people.
Here that when he's attacked, he heals all allies equal to the amount takes. It does actually heal him, I believe, as well. So basically, he heals all of the damage taken. Now it's on a 3-turn cooldown. If you book it down to a 1-turn cooldown, he does it once per turn, so you make him fairly fast, put him in some regeneration
Fuck you, man.
as well, and he will basically keep your team alive with a lot of the AoE hits by bringing some extra healing. Very useful against Bommel as well, where he can get you through some of the Bommel floors. Early on, Bommel is a pain. This is a great way to get through Bommel until you can get somebody like a Vogoth who does a much better heal that is not limited by a cooldown.
All right, you got me. Good game. Good fight.
He also brings some provoking.
You controlled the crap out of me with that Cometus, man. I'll give you some kudos on that.
In Hydra, if you can get enough accuracy for him as well. We're talking a very, very early Hydra team, probably your normal team when you're kind of figuring out how to maybe one key normal. He can be that champion that holds it together with that provoke. Not going to be amazing, but it's certainly an option. And finally, he has a revive when this champion is killed as well. So if you have another reviver on the team, they can revive him back, but that makes him not only a viable tank with that extra heal, but if he dies, he revives somebody else as well. That can save very early Faction Wars runs, and that can save some very early Hydra runs as well. So a good champion to have for general.
Look at Jade over here.
Doesn't always need to be 6 stars. He'll be fine as a 5-star or maybe a 4-star on a lot of champions. You're probably going to want him as a 6-star if you're going to be using him for hard Bommel. But if you're using him for normal Bommel, he'll probably be just fine as a 5-star, and he'll be fine for Faction Wars for a while to invest in. So a good champion to look for and a good champion to squirrel aside because he brings some interesting utility with a passive. Red Cloak Connect.
Let's get Embers out of there.
Fun, rare as well.
I wanted to ban Susan or Nell, but a 6-star Embers could just one-shot my whole party. Since Suzanne's on the team, they would have went first.
Useful in siege content, so this could be useful for some end game players. Decreased speed as well as a good debuff to have. 4-turn cooldown, 100% chance. Well, I guess it's a 75% chance of placing the debuff, but it is a 100% chance of removing.
I 100% thought they was gonna go first.
Very, very useful. She also has an AoE attack, puts increased accuracy on everybody, decreases turn meter as well, 75% chance. But these are good utility skills as well. Very useful as a rare for the Shadowkin faction. Get one of her early on, and she can basically be a wave clear for you for a little while, as well as a bit of a control. And she'll probably be useful until you can finally replace her with some of the better Shadowkin champions.
I don't like this.
And then you've got one ready to go to build for some endgame content way, way down the line. Probably be good for some of those rare secret rooms. Definitely be good for some of the rare Cursed City stuff. A good champion overall. Even the A1 gives you some turn meter steal as well. Overall, very, very useful and good champion to have on your account, even if you're not going to use her until the very, very end game. Certainly worth stashing away. Probably one of my favorite champions in this particular collection here, Bowsmith Flannan. He is absolutely, is it Bowsmith or Bawsmith? I guess it's Bawsmith, probably. I don't know. I've never been one to pronounce these things correctly. Let me know down in the comments if it's Bow as in B-O-W or it's Baw as in deck the Baws with, you know, whatever. But he's got a double hitter A1 here that has a stun chance as well as turn meter decreasing. And if they're under decreased speed, it's that extra turn meter decrease as well. That's actually pretty darn cool.
We really need to keep Nell from taking a turn.
As well as for the Fire Knight. So if you're struggling on Fire Knight early on, he gives you some turn meter control from a rare. Very, very helpful here as well. He's got an AoE decreased speed. It is the low end of decreased speed, but you know what? It's still decreased speed. It is guaranteed when you book him at a 3-turn cooldown. He's got a ally attack, and again, he's got a good A1 as well. Plus somebody else joins him on this, and he puts increased accuracy up on everybody. It's the low end increased accuracy, but very, very good. And finally, he's got a passive here that if he lands his decreased speed on at least 3
Get that Predator out of here.
Extra turn, or at least has a chance of getting an extra turn. That's
I don't know what the fuss is about Predator, man. He's just... That A2, yeah, it can smack, but I just never see much of a threat from him. I don't think I've ever just straight up lost the fight solely because of Predator.
In some of the cases of Cursed City, in fact, I have built 1 or 2 of these guys on my main and used them for some Cursed City floors. He is a good champion. Also does a decent amount of damage as a defense-based champion as well. Honestly, one of my favorite rares at least one of my favorite rares that is not a void rare. This
Shade
is
again.
got a lot of heavy lifting on my free to play.
Well, let's see if he's going to swap the team up.
He's still a rare that I continue to think maybe I should 6-star on my free to play. That is how good this champion is. So there we go. Those are some.
I think we're going to swap out our bias for Cometas.
For end game content, or there could be investments for some early to mid game progression content. Those are rares that you should not overlook. And I think it's very, very critical that Raid has some of these good rares, because honestly, it's nice to be able to find a champion that doesn't take a ton of investment, that doesn't take a ton of, well, chickens, doesn't take the most expensive books, and honestly can be gotten easily and worth putting a little bit of investment in gear, maybe some books, and just, you know, maybe
He banned my Cometas.
pull these souls pretty easily.
Okay.
Rares become easy to build, and being able to make progression with some of these rares is going to help you get into the mid game, get into the end game, and enjoy all the fun that is Raid Shadow Legends. So guys, let me know some of your favorite rares down below. Anybody I missed that you absolutely love, I would love to hear from you guys. And while you're down there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. You guys are an amazing community, and hopefully these rares help you.
How did she not land a sweep on any of us?
Shadow Legends. So appreciate you all. You guys have a wonderful day, and until the next video, I am Bront Cat Herder.
Well, here we go again. Surprised that didn't break down the material in Predator. You know, he might be about to get my sick friend, though. Yeah. Old girl is able to come in with a nuke. Let me rephrase. I hope the Predator doesn't evade my. I was just saying how Predator was never a threat, and now here I am. I brought it on myself. Okay, I stand by it. He's not a threat. Would we get anything good? Accuracy and speed. Double and defense. Defense, and HP and resistance. Okay, not bad. Nothing I'm crazy ecstatic about, but nothing bad. What a cool avatar frame. How do you get that? In the Spring Club, I've never seen that.
Here's someone I haven't talked about in a really long time, but today I saw a clip of one of their streams recently, and I fell down the rabbit hole again, just kind of checking up on them to see what's been going on. Only Use Me Blade. Only Use Me Blade might have just triggered like a Winter Soldier moment in some of you watching this, because he was one of like the first big Call of Duty YouTubers. He was huge back in the day, in an era where YouTubers weren't really like a thing that existed. He was very popular and beloved by the community.
We really need to get an Arachno Elixir on this new baby account or Ezio.
That demon only grew. It got worse. He became a full-time degenerate streamer doing awful shit. And he grew a community that was there to eat some popcorn and point and laugh at the clown putting on a show of pathetic, terrible shenanigans. I made a video on him many years ago now, covering his sad journey and the awful shit that he had been doing during that time. But I hadn't checked in on him in a while until today. And somehow,
he'll be out
against
Yes, Max should still be able to deal with the block damage from Mariska. I just didn't want to get stuck in a revive loop between her and Mariska.
It seems like he is even worse now than he was then.
And I feel like of the two, Hilby is more of a threat than Mariska, even though Mariska auto revives everybody because she'll freeze you and bring the block damage.
Serve as like a big PSA to anyone out there about what alcoholism actually looks like. I've been seeing like a lot of those headlines about how, you know, the new generation isn't drinking as much. That's a really good thing. That is a very positive thing. I swear, watching clips from his stream is like an episode of Scared Straight. Now, Only Use Me Blade is not a good guy. Alcoholism aside, he has done horrible things, like I mentioned, and a lot of it is in combination with his drinking, but even still, it's not like that's an excuse for some of the shit that he's done. This includes some really unforgivable ones, like a possible sexual assault. Now, as I said, he is fully back into excessive drinking, and he recently confirmed speculation that he lost his toes, that his toes needed to be amputated.
Show us the toes. Show us the stump. Show.
Okay, well,
Alrighty.
The fucking poetic part about it is, yeah, during my year off from drinking, I got an infection in my foot, and the years of abuse on my body, I lost my toes, dude. So, I tried to hide it, but
If we swap forms, she's gonna die from necrosis.
Chat asked for a little show and tell, so he brought up what's left of his foot, and now they call him Only Lose Me Toes. I also saw some pictures from some of his older streams that showed the state that his toes were in prior to the amputation, and they look like fucking charred sausages. It actually looks like frostbite, and it's from his excessive drinking. It's called alcoholic neuropathy. What happens is, through this much consumption of alcohol,
I've been seeing some cool avatars and clan symbols tonight.
And what happened
Well, he
here
just
is
backed out.
He probably lost sensation down there and didn't realize
Wonder why.
something was awry. Because
I'll take it.
stops, you know, functioning optimally. And so when he got that infection, he probably had it for a while and didn't even know it. And then by the time he did recognize something wasn't right, it was too late
Yes,
to save
who?
the toes, thus they had to amputate him. That's how it typically goes, as I understand it, when it comes
Bacon.
to alcoholic neuropathy. And this is actually something a lot of people saw coming. You didn't need to be Nostradamus nor Baba Vanga to predict that he was going to have something like this at some point, because it was pretty well documented that his legs were rotting. He had fucking holes in his legs. They looked like the honeycombs you collect in Banjo-Kazooie. He had sores all around his legs. It even had like some necrosis in some places that looked to be starting. They were in rough shape. So I don't think anyone was really surprised to hear that his
Shaping
toes
up to
had
be a pretty good team here.
But he
A little
did
afraid of that
this
Fabian.
happened during the break that he took with the year of sobriety. So it turns out he actually took a pretty extended break from streaming to be a full-time caretaker for his mother. So he is currently at her retirement home as her caretaker.
Oh man, I knew I should have went with my Garo.
Very much back into excessive drinking.
Alright then. Let's bring out Sonic.
Alright. You're a black person. Look at me. You assault us. There he goes. Seahawks.
You didn't assault her.
And he banned our bias, hell yeah.
No, I've been drinking a lot, dude.
There are quite a lot of moments.
I'd love to see that red bar under your turn. It lets you know you're gonna go first.
Home, just harassing the people around him.
I hit the wrong button,
where he's
man.
talking to an older lady about how much she squirts. What's her squirt ratio?
What's your squirt ratio?
I should have blocked the debuffs.
What?
Your squirt
You
ratio.
did not say that, did we?
I did.
Oh.
Because I love you. And you got a dog, and you need to squirt, ma'am. You need to squirt, ma'am. Figured out.
Dude, back then I was sick.
Yeah, I probably do.
Oh, here we go.
Get it.
Because he's trying to put on a performance.
I knew when I
chat.
hit that A3 instead of A2,
Knows Bozo the Clown here.
we lost it.
Sloshed, absolutely hammered, blackout drunk. So it's just an entire life of lowlights. It's really fucking sad to see, especially considering that he's supposed to be a full-time caretaker for his mom. But his mom is the one that seems to be having to take care of him, her early 40s son, who is now just unable to stop getting blackout drunk and is passing out drunk on stream and having the cops called as a wellness check to make sure he's still fucking alive. Yo. Hey.
Plus 2 armless? Huh. Alright, 2-star? Sorry. A little underwhelmed by that, but that don't mean the gear's not good. An old school build, he got polymorph on it too. No blessings, he must be free to play.
I have seen multiple clips of Only Use Me Blade in that exact position, the Peter Griffin falling down the stairs pose there. Even after losing his toes, he is still drinking.
He thought he was going to squeeze that Fabian out.
Catastrophic degree. It's a miracle he is still alive. Like, it is unbelievable with how much he has abused his body over the years. And in between, drinks, he has like some self-awareness moments.
He banned Malacerius.
Destroyed his body and how awful the alcoholism is, but he can't stop himself. He can't help it. That's how strong the addiction is. I don't think.
Yeah, I just realized he's got over 1 million views in 7 hours. Like, holy cow!
I've seen a clip with sheets on his bed, and I imagine it's because he keeps passing out drunk and pissing in the sheets. Like, no matter how bad things have gotten for him, he just can't seem to kick the habit. And that's not exclusive to just Only Use Me Blade. This is a very real, very evil and insidious addiction that tons and tons of people struggle with. Only Use Me Blade just happens to broadcast.
Can we whop him out here?
Entertainment. And
yes, we can.
His drinking to his.
The gear was not there.
Extent. So, like, there actually have been times in the past where he has attempted to get clean and sober, and he's gone weeks, sometimes even months without drinking, but each time he has relapsed. And I do think some part of it is because there are people that watch his streams that are solely there to giggle at his misfortunes. They kind of encourage it. Not everyone. There are a lot of people that actually try and root for him to, come out the other side and actually beat this. But there are some that are solely there because they want to watch.
A 6-star Carnage is pretty frightening.
His life and continue to be in this.
Oh, and a rat boy.
So, like, I can find clips of him, after a couple weeks, and then eventually he just says, you know what, I'm gonna have a couple drinks, and he does it on stream. And there are people that donate trying to encourage him to stop. There are people that reach out telling him, like, please don't do this. And then there's also people in his chat that are like, yeah, fuck yeah, finally, we're back. We're so back.
It's over tonight.
I'm gonna have some drinks, dude.
Take that Rat King out, because he could end the fight if they go first.
So good, man. You are doing so good.
I'm not making it a habit, dude. I'm just gonna have some drinks and relax
with
chat tonight.
I know that you say that, but then, next week you're gonna be like, oh, it's not making a habit, and you're gonna be right back to dropping N-bombs and getting in trouble again.
I do, hey, man, I do appreciate you, dude. Thank
Oh,
you.
we went first. Just barely, though.
This is just, I'm gonna have some drinks tonight.
Spoiler alert.
Well, he backed out real quick.
Again.
There it is, boys.
J Rock has just donated $5. Love you, buddy.
After this, let's go out and let's smoke some weed or something. But Terry, this is like a very special occasion.
Daryl and who donated $3. Dude, please don't do this. Don't throw away all that work. Think of how good it felt to have control in your life, to have your life back.
We are good. Thank you. Terry, I love you, dude. I'm definitely not doing a quad, bro. I'll have a couple shots for you, but let's do this and go smoke a cig and figure it out, all right?
Like I said, there are a lot of people.
No avatar frame around. He might be afraid to play.
Has happened a couple times from what I can tell. But again, there are still some people in there that encourage it.
No.
I think to a certain degree.
It's not a crazy blessing, but it's definitely a good luck.
Is drinking, so it makes it even harder for him to like fully stop. And he did take an extended break, where apparently he did stop for a year. But he did come back, and he is now drinking just as much as he ever did. He even recently got arrested for urinating in front of officers that were called to kick him out of an area where he was just publicly intoxicated and being a nuisance, just a pest that was bothering everyone out in public.
What do you think? Should we ban the Nias or the Fabian? Or the Empress? Thinking we ban the Fabian. How did that guy make it to 100?
He's under arrest. Oh no! Alright. What'd you do? He's pissed. Right, man. Alright.
He can hardly even stand up, and he's bouncing around from person to person there like a fucking pinball. And just like stumbling around, spitting out mumbo jumbo, not even able to form a full sentence. He was talking
It really is a shame what intoxicants do to people.
to the cops for a little while there too. Then he came, got the camera, and then pissed on some stranger's car in front of the officers. Just pulls his cock out, pisses on the car, and gets arrested right there for it. So he's not isolated at the retirement home and harassing everyone around there. He's spreading his wings and taking it all over the place while being able to hardly stand or speak. And of course, he still loves to be weird and creepy to women every chance he gets.
What's your name? M? There's more people out here than there are inside. Is it okay if I ask for your name? Sorry.
Can we wipe it out here? Man, why did we do that? We knew better than that. He loves me right now. We just threw that thought away. We could have attacked literally anybody else.
You cover your dog? Figure it out. Hey, my name's Brian. I love you. You girls okay?
Yeah, I need to take a photo of this. This is funny.
That's a certified, now that's what I call Riz moment right there. Holy. Regular old Casanova. So again, he is blackout drunk here. He's trying to get this stranger's name. She doesn't really want to give it to him. So she gives like an alias, and then he just keeps saying like, "Hey-o, figure it out." And then says his name, and then says that she cuddles really hard. I guess that's flirting. I suppose. And then
yep,
her and her
it's over.
are like very weirded out by it.
Shit.
So they both start recording. Well,
What just happened?
Recording, but the other person she's with also said that she was taking a picture or something for the memories. I imagine they're doing that just in case things get fucking hairy. It's for their own safety, so they can videotape the fucking wacko that's approached them here. It's just a disaster, man. It's fucking absurd. So yeah, I hadn't seen anything from Only Use Me Blade in a while, and he just got put back on my radar.
True Fear.
I couldn't help but just jump down.
It's always annoying.
Like what's been going on over the years with him.
I think True Fear is more annoying because there's a 50-50 chance, so you feel like you have a chance of getting it through, but when it doesn't, you're like, oh man. Whereas if it's a stun or a sleep, you're just like, okay, well, I lost it. The True Fear, it literally like brings you up, like brings up your hope just to crush it. That's crazy. The dude with the least impressive avatar all night was the dude who whooped me. The Discords. Plus one Fabian. Wow. I mean, technically I could do that too, but I've got him in as a faction guardian. Oh. They're up to a strong start, man. And need a 6-star. I'm a bit nervous going into this one, guys. If he doesn't ban Lazarius, we have to put out the block debuffs. I don't know. That Cabalak might take my Lazarius out when it takes a turn, though. That's a fast team. Yeah, he got it. Good game, good game. Not fasty. And not to make the whole video about this viewer comment, but I am gonna try to start putting my favorite comment at the end of each stream. And this one tonight, it's probably the most in-depth comment anyone's ever left. I know most people probably won't care, but if you took the time to write it all, I'll take the time to read it out just because of the extravagancy of it. Oh man, it took my Daryl. I hope we can control that Daryl. That's my combo, man. Six-star blessing as well. And it's in full material. And over 400 speed. That's a crazy build. Being 6P or 9-piece material and over 400 speed, or over 412, because that's what my Lazarius is. That is a crazy build. Please. Slow down there, girl. Are you going to A1 or A2? You're going to A1 to get Siegfried out of the way? But now my Kamitas might be able to come in there and get you out. Let's see. Yeah, we got it. I wasn't too confident there, but we got it. Okay, so what was our battle log? Ooh, not that good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, we won 7 out of 10. That's not horrible. Where are we at on the arena right now? Not 92. We're not too far from first place. Let's see if we can get on up there. Look at the soul mojo right now. Nothing crazy. Hmm. Did not realize we was fighting a Name or Nyame, however you pronounce it. We got to get her out of there. Damn it. I don't like this. No bueno, no bueno. Sure. Man, there are some brutal teams in my lineup right now. How much resistance do they got, man? My Cometus is like 670 on accuracy. I am not liking this fight. We messed up letting her get a turn. All right, we got it. We got it. We're good. Donnie and Raphael and Maki are all three in non-piece material. That's wild. It's going to be hard to handle. Hopefully these counterattacks will allow us to knock off some of that material. Okay, we might be able to shut it down right here. Yeah. You gotta do it against a +2 6-star Pred bullet. With a Necro to keep him alive. Neither of them can ignore Unkillable, though. See if we can place the bombs. I'm sure we're not going to have a higher max HP than him. Yeah, they didn't even place. He evaded it. Keep going, girl. Attack all you want. There we go. Yeah, Predator is just not that bad. I don't understand why people are so afraid of him. Like, he can be bad, but there's millions of counters. Can we strip anything? Yeah. We got polymorphed in the process, but we also stunned Cometus. Polo Guard is so annoying. Didn't stop us, though. All right, so my strategy in the arena right now, pretty much, we throw out our bias, and hopefully she'll get banned over Lazarius, but even if she doesn't, she can bring a revival and death, and as long as everyone's under a revival and death, they're getting a 30% chance to place a petrification anytime they get attacked, so it's kind of like a Mythrala passive. And she also has increased accuracy, so we can strip the buffs and place her debuffs easier. And if she gets locked out, her A1 has a 40% chance of placing block active skills, which is nice. And if none of that suits the occasion, she brings her own stone skin and puts 30% worth of continuous heals out on everybody for 2 turns with a taunt, and she can throw down a leech to help keep her team alive even more. And her 8-1 puts a continuous heal on her and another champion and decreases whoever you attack's turn meter by 30%. And also, whenever she gets attacked, which she brings taunt, so she'll be attacked a lot, she puts a big version of decreased speed out and decreases the damage taken by all allies from skills by 20%, and she'll receive that damage instead, but she's under a snow skin that she brings herself. So even if she's not like who we want to pick, she's never a bad option to have on the team. And we have her in 5-star temporal chains, and it decreases the enemy's speed for each active buff they are under, except for buffs placed at the start of the round. So if you're going up against an Arbiter, a Siphi, somebody like that, we like to have temporal chains to help even out the speed lead, because we're only able to get 378 on her, and we're only able to get 406 with Lazarius. But the reason that we want Lazarius to be our main lead is because her A3 not only fills the turn meter of everybody about 20%, but decreases all the enemies' turn meter about 20% and puts a 50% increased attack and a 25% strength on everybody. And if we already can go first, or if we're going up against a Cometus or somebody, we can put out a block debuffs on everybody that strips their debuffs, or buffs, sorry, and puts a block buffs on all, I said that backwards. She puts a block debuffs on all allies and decreases the duration of all buffs on enemies by 2 turns, and puts a block buff on everybody. Her A1 isn't really anything to concern yourself with. It just puts a shield on the ally with the lowest HP for 2 turns. But her passive, one of the hands down top 10 passives in the game. At the start of this champion's turn, puts a perfect veil and 50% increased accuracy on them for 2 turns. So it effectively adds 50% to her accuracy, taking her from about 450 up to about close to 700 on the accuracy. And at the end of this champion's turn, revives a random ally with 50% HP and 50% turn meter, and puts a perfect veil buff on the revived ally for 2 turns, and that's on a 3-turn cooldown. So you can't go wrong with her first form, and if she gets locked out, you can always go into her second form. You can still have the target's turn meter, and it cannot be resisted, and it ignores ally protection, strengthen and shields, double hitter, and 30% of the target's defense. Or you can use the A2, which is pretty good. It's an AoE that ignores shield and increased defense. Before attacking, removes all debuffs from this champion, so it's a full self-cleanse, and it increases this attack damage by 15% per debuff removed. So if she's even got like 3 debuffs, that's almost a 50% attack increase. And if no debuffs were removed, increases this attack's damage by 15% for each ally alive. The A1, very unique, but not really that crazy in the arena. It's more for like bosses because it does apply to bosses. The first hit of this champion increases this champion's attack by 3% up to 30. The second hit decreases 3% of the target's attack defense or destroys 3% of the target's max HP, depending on their type, stacks up to 30%. It says that this effect does not work against support type champions, but it does work against bosses. And then the passive on this turn, at the start of this champion's turn, puts 50% increased attack and a 30% increased crit damage on them for 2 turns. It increases the cooldown of all enemies by 2 turns whenever this champion kills an enemy. And if this champion kills 2 or more enemies in a single attack, it cannot be resisted. So, if she kills somebody in her second form, she resets the cooldown on every enemy on the team. And she has a 25% speed aura in all battles. We run Intimidating Presence 6-star on her. That way we can strengthen our team's aura by 35%, taking that 25% speed boost all the way up to about 32% speed boost, or 33, which is what Carnage has, and it's the highest speed aura in the game. It separates in all battles, not just the arena. And it also weakens the team's aura by 20%, so it takes their, even if it's a Carnage at 33%, it takes it down to like 27. So mixing her with our bias, Temporal Chains, it definitely helps equal out the speed. So as long as the other team isn't going like above 450, 470, we do tend to go first. And that's kind of how we lead out our fights. And then when it comes into if there's a Hilvi, Odin, anyone that's going to bring block damage, or if we think they're going to have a lot of stone skin, we go Gizmek Terrible. He puts an unresistible burn that ignores stone skin, ignores everything out at the start of the fight, and it's a 50-50 chance of putting it out at the start of each turn. And his A3 puts an increased crit damage, crit rate, and speed on all allies, then grants an extra turn. We go into the A2. That is an AoE, but before attacking, it increases the duration of all burns by 1 turn, then instantly activates 1 tick of all HP burns on all enemies, and it cannot be resisted. And it will finally increase the duration of all debuffs on all enemies by 1 turn, and put a big version of decreased speed on all enemies for 2 turns, and none of this can be resisted. That's really what we use it for, is to burn off Stone Skin. But if we get into a fight and there's no Stone Skin, or if we get it off and he makes it around to the second turn, we go into the second form, use the A2. It's an AoE. Before attacking, puts a 6% decreased defense on all enemies for 2 turns. This buff cannot be resisted if the target is under a burn. So it's a guaranteed decreased defense, because they're almost always going to be under a burn. And it puts an extra hit on enemies under a burn. And if it kills an enemy, he gets an extra turn, which goes into the A3 that puts out a pain link, which this is the only champion in the game that pain link actually matters. And it cannot be removed, resisted, or blocked. It goes through block debuffs. It goes through everything except for material. Don't use it against material. And when calculating the damage inflicted by pain link, it is 75% of the attacker's skill multiplier is reflected. The damage inflicted by pain link will ignore 100% of the target's defense. So it can actually hurt them more than it hurts you. But it doesn't really matter how hard it hits you, because you're putting a taunt on yourself and everyone's going to attack you. And an unkillable on this champion for 2 turns, and a 50% ally protection on all allies, except for the champion for 2 turns. And the way that pain link works, if they're attacking you, and you're taunted and everyone else is ally protected, it works pretty standard. But the way it's coded in, as long as you have ally protection out, since when they attack an ally, you're taking half of that damage, they're going to take half of the pain link damage for attacking an ally. So very good to have on your team. And the A1 hits pretty hard too. So that's pretty much how we deal with Stone Skin and have as a secondary nuker. Now, our primary nuker is going to be Siegfried, but he's also a secondary support. Everybody knows what he does on his damage form. And before he dies, he puts out a block damage and heals by half of his HP and then gets an instant turn. But what a lot of people seem to sleep on is, if you can make it to where he's the last man standing, he brings to revive all dead allies with half health, half turn meter, with a block damage for 2 turns on them, a full team cleanse, and heals all allies by 30% of their max HP, and puts a block debuff on them for 2 turns. And the A1 is an AoE that heals all allies by 20% of the damage inflicted, and it actually hits pretty hard. His passive is decrease the damage taken from skills by 20%. And yes, that does stack with our bias's 20% damage mitigation from everybody else on the team if she's in her second form. So he's reducing damage taken from skills by 40% effectively. Any Siegfried worth his weight is going to have a lightning cage on. The reason I say that is because you do not want that block damage getting taken away. You need him to be the last man standing. I cannot stress that enough. And then our second primary nuker would be Daryl. And it's because she is just broken right now at this point in the game. Her A2 is an AoE that puts a provoke on all enemies for 1 turn, and it ignores block debuffs and places, even if this attack is a weak hit. Then puts a protected unkillable buff for 3 turns and an unprotected counterattack buff for 3 turns. It's great. But you can go into her second form and use her nukes, or you can stay in the first form and take advantage of the counterattack, because yes, it's only a single hitter, but before attacking, it strips all buffs from the target and increases the cooldown of a random skill on the target by 2 turns, even if it lands as a weak hit. So everything she does, affinity doesn't really matter. Yeah, the damage gets affected, but the specials like stripping buffs and increasing cooldowns does not matter. But her main use, and what I think she probably does better than any other champion in the game, even better than Marius, is her second form damage. Her A1 is an AoE that has a 25% chance of repeating the attack, and it ignores block damage. Just flat out. The A1 ignores block damage. It's a hard-hitting AoE. and has a 1 out of 4 chance of repeating, and I've seen it repeat 3-4 times in a row fairly regularly. Her A2 is an AoE. This may be the hardest hitting potential skill in the game. Damage of this skill increases by 10% for each buff on the champion and on the target. It ignores 30% of the target's defense and will ignore half of the target's defense instead if this champion has more buffs than the target. The reason that that is so great is because her passive, the champion inflicts more damage as their HP decreases 1% per 1% loss, and the champion receives less damage as their HP decreases by 0.5% for every 1% loss. So she's on unkillable, she's down to 1%, she's still at 99% more damage. And she can ignore half of the target's defense, but that's not all. There is more. Her passive, or secret skill, it's not really a passive, on a 2-turn cooldown, keep that in mind, strips all debuffs from this champion. So it's a full cleanse on herself, puts a 50% increased attack, crit damage, and crit rate on all allies for 3 turns. It's a 3-turn buff on a 2-turn cooldown, then grants an extra turn. So theoretically, it's a 1-turn cooldown. You can use it every other turn, but it helps cycle back to that A2. So it really, if you start with the A2 before you use the secret skill, then the A2 is effectively a 2-turn cooldown, and the A1 can hit multiple times. But the best part of her skill, everybody remembers back when Vonda was like meta because of her ally attack, she would just come in with even like support champions and turn their A1s into hard-hitting abilities because her ally attack in. Well, she gets an ally attack, but it's 50% chance to team up with them anytime anyone attacks to join their attack, with that big AoE nuke that ignores block damage. That pretty much covers anything in the arena, but just on the off chance that we're stuck fighting a Marius, we don't bring in Gizmak because the way Incinerate is on 6 star, it decreases the turn meter whenever they receive damage from a burn, so that pretty much forces Marius in to go in before anyone else, like kind of in the same way that Calbalax or Gizmak's burn will force Teox to go before anyone else, except for on the opposite team. So we swap Gizmak out for Cometus. I think everybody knows what Cometus does on his second form at this point. He just throws out bombs and stun, and if it doesn't kill you, it'll stun you. Well, his first form is actually really good. The A2 strips all buffs from all enemies, and then places a block active skills on them for 2 turns. It also still 20% of the turn meter for each enemy under a block active skill. So if you're in the arena full of people and you landed on everybody, that's 80% turn meter he's going to gain back and take 20% of the turn meter away from everybody else. So it kind of works as a decreased turn meter on everybody as long as you have the accuracy to do so. The A1 is a double hitter, and each hit decreases the target's defense by 2% up to 20, and it also steals 10% of the target's turn meter. So he's getting a lot of control on the first form. With finally, the A3 attack one enemy, steals all of the target's turn meter and puts the target's skills on cooldown. Very short, very simple, but very powerful skill. And then passively, whenever this champion loses 30% or more HP in a single turn, deals damage to the attacker equal to 30% of the champion's max HP and occurs once per turn. You got him at 100k HP, somebody attacks. He loses 30% of his HP, well, there's 30k of their HP gone too. Also, when this champion loses 30% or more in a single turn, puts a shield on them equal to 30% of the champion's max HP. So if they lose a third of their health, they get a third of it back as a shield. And he's got Brimstone on, just because I feel like every team needs to have one champion with Brimstone, because that extra like 10% enemy max HP. What does it say? Sorry, that's 25% of the affected champion's max HP, and all other enemies by 5% of their max HP. That can really turn the tide of a fight. Think if y'all are pretty much button heads and you're basically an equal team, that smite can literally give you a 25% damage boost that they're not getting. You don't really hear people or see Brimstone much in the arena, but I feel like it is very overlooked. And also, when it's 6-star, the smite is guaranteed and it's protected, so it can't be cleared off by any means necessary. So even cleanses, they're still going to take damage. That's pretty much what I go through when I'm going into the arena. I mess around with other champions, but that's like my go-to arena strategy. And so far, I tend to keep between a 70 and 90% win rate. It tends to not really drop below the 7 out of 10. And that's, the game's math or algorithm is basically designed to keep you as close to 50-50 as possible. And so considering I don't really get below 70, I think that's a pretty good indicator to go off of. Now, finally, what I was wanting to bring up, we was going over all the new updates in Raid earlier, and this guy made a comment that really stuck out to me. It's pretty long, so brace yourself. The guy with, speaking of which, we was talking about the champion in the What's New with Raid video that had the Medusa shield. The guy with the shield of 3 dogs, that monster is Cerberus, who guards under the world entrance. So I hope that Cerberus the dog comes too and will be part of the Packmaster dank. That would be a great idea, man. Many of these Greek heroes, you can actually know pretty well what is up with them, since many have marks, signs, etc. That is the copy from Greek mythology. And I didn't think about that when I was watching the video about the Argonaut faction. Their lore could definitely give you an indicator to what their kids are going to be. If you know a little about that, then it is even more fun. I used to read all of them again and again when in my teenage years, and I have some wishes of gods, goddesses, and heroes I would really like to see. The new fusion also has so much history linked to him in the mythology history. I liked everything with this new info except for the arena stuff. But finally, I can now decide if I want to do it compared to the other arena stuff we have to do. Oh, by the way, the new fusion looks sick. So freaking amazing. My favorite so far in the game. And this Greek faction looks a bit more grown up, not so hysterical, cartoonish, and childish like so many other factions and heroes of late. Sorry, but 4 ninjas kicking reptiles with bandanas is an effing turnoff. They look absolutely awful. I am going Titus also for my first hero token. Dude, then the dog Crocad, third the Mad Hatter. Cheers from a Greek in Sweden, nice bid mate. Oh, sorry, but do you know if Arm the Wide is any good? I am free to play, so he is my first ever mythical from a pull during the Nodula fusion. I just have the free one, Mikage, etc. I like a lot of what you're saying there, and I hope the game actually takes that into account when they're doing the kits for these champions, because I agree. I like Predator a little bit. I like the movie with Schwarzenegger. The first one, I don't really like the other ones or the Netflix series. I'm a big fan of the alien lore, but I've never been a big fan of the movies per se, but I think the monster itself is one of my favorite monsters in all movie history. And I do agree also, I like that they're taking a more down-to-earth turn with this new faction. I mean, I love the Undead Hordes, I love the Skinwalkers, but I wasn't a big fan of the Turtles. That was, I know a lot of people loved them, but I don't know if they love them for the lore and the actual IP, or if they just love how great and OP the Turtles are together. But yes, Arn, he's the, I believe, the most recent mythical, and he's maybe the best mythical. I don't have him, but just reading through his kit, he has in the top 3 most OP sounding kits in the game. So if you got him, dude, build him up. Hopefully you'll get a soul for him. But I feel like, especially the way you make your account sound, he's going to be game changing for your account. And I guess that's going to wrap it up for this video. I have to get ready for work in the morning. Thanks everybody for watching. Y'all have a good night. And as always, have a great day.